What's up, everyone? It's your boy NornRad89 here. Today, we are here to continue our Bond review series on to 1995's Goldeneye, the first appearance of Pierce Brosnan as the James Bond character. And man, this one definitely hit hard, and it also is just a cultural phenomenon too, because they had a Nintendo 64 game, Goldeneye. So even if you weren't a huge Bond fan, you pretty much knew this film because the game was huge. This was one of the best multiplayer games, and even the story mode was very engaging as well. Cool weapons, and like I said, just really fun to invite your friends over and have a night with. So coupled that with the movie being a really good Bond film. So today we're going to talk about, like I said, going into my retrospective feelings on Goldeneye, and also the video game and what it meant to me in my young childhood life. So let's do this. Roll it. So as I said in my intro, Goldeneye is just synonymous in the cultural gaming world because of the Goldeneye Nintendo 64 game. But coupled with that, the movie is very fascinating too and amazing. And when I talk to Bond fans, like I'm in the Bond community, and when I talk to Bond fans and about rankings and stuff, if someone doesn't have Goldeneye in their top 10 Bond films, I kind of question your Bond intelligence. I'm just messing around, but still, like, I really do. I kind of like, I don't know, because this is a strong film all the way throughout. Like Pierce Brosnan, for me, this was one of those ones when I first saw it. It was kind of like Daniel Craig in Casino Royale. I was just like, damn, like the new actor hit. Very good film, strong right off the bat, and they're hitting hard. And man, I thought Pierce Brosnan was going to be on his way for having a great Bond career, but no, they kind of dipped off after this film. But like Goldeneye, yeah, it's just an iconic film with such a great cast like Famke Jensen. We have Sean Bean in here with Pierce Brosnan as well, and then we have Robbie Coltrane as well, and sadly we did lose him recently this year. He played Hagrid in Harry Potter as well. That's where you'll know him, but he is in this film playing an amazing character. Has probably one of the best scenes with Pierce Brosnan is that scene when he goes to meet him and ask him for help so he can get the introduction to the man he's looking for. So yeah, there's a great cast all around, and it's just a very adventure-thrilled film. Great set pieces. And to be honest, the scene, like the beginning intro scene to this, when you first see Pierce Brosnan going into meeting 006 and their mission and stuff, fantastic. One of the best intros to a Bond film ever. And that's one thing, like I said, Pierce Brosnan, this first film, I'm totally on board with him. He has a great intro. He is very, aggressive. He's very, physical and stuff. He's got these quippy one-liners and everything, and it flows very natural. Like, some of his lines in this film are the best that you get in a Bond film. Like, this Bond film really has a lot of the stuff you want in the entire movie. One thing I can say, it's a nitpicky negative, is that the Goldeneye song by Tina Turner, performed by her, I don't think it's that strong of a song, and I don't really like the title card, like the sequence, you know what I mean, introduce when the song is playing and all the stuff that's going on in the back. I really don't like this one. Like, that's probably like just a nitpicky thing, but if that's to say that's your main negative about this film, like that's not that bad at all, you know what I mean? The whole film, other than that, is pretty freaking strong. Another thing we must talk about is our Bond woman, Natalia. I think it's cool that we have a Bond woman who's not there for necessarily her sexiness. Like, she is very cute and she's sexy in this film, but I think she's amazing that she's very smart. She's there for her smarts, and she knows something about what Bond's trying to find out. She's the person who knows who's stealing the Goldeneye and stuff. So I think that's fabulous and all that. She's there for like a different reason, and when she gets to Bond, like when they get together, especially when they're trapped in the helicarrier or the helicopter, and then they have to eject out before the bombs come back and shoot them, man, just action-packed sequences with really good chemistry, and I think they do good together. Another fabulous thing that I love about Goldeneye is Judi Dench and Pierce Brosnan, their chemistry, and it's much more a kind of back and forth, kind of dissing each other chemistry, you know what I mean? You kind of get the feeling like she's the new age trying to do something different, and Bond lives much more in the old age in terms of what he does with the spies, and you can see that tussle and that really, that tension between them. But one thing I must say, this is kind of a little nitpicky thing. It's weird when I watch this Bond film. There's a lot of action stuff first. A lot of things happen before we even get our mission statement, or we get to that moment of dialogue where we learn what Bond is actually doing. So we go through a lot of sequences. The beginning sequence, him running into Omnitop, like them stealing the copter, like all kinds of stuff happens before we actually get to, I think it's about the 40 minute mark. And that's when we get our first introduction of M and Tanner and our kind of dialogue moment as we're finding out what happened and that somebody stole Goldeneye. That's one weird thing about this film, but it's still action packed and I'm on board for the ride. But I can understand with some people, if they're new to James Bond, they'd be like, well, this is just like a lot of action over and over and over. And like, the Bond films aren't always like that. Typically, you get your M. Tanner moment, and all that kind of stuff in your mission briefing before the kind of 20-minute mark, so we know what kind of process we're going through in this film. But also, like I said, there's other things to talk about. Just besides this film is the cultural phenomenon of the game. Like I said, even if you weren't a fan of this movie and you were a gamer, especially, like I said, if you owned the Nintendo 64, you were going to know what Goldeneye was, and this probably might have made you a Bond fan. And like I said, the game is very entertaining, has a lot of the same missions from the movie, and you get to experience them, like I said, through Pierce Brosnan's eyes, and you can set the difficulty, and the extreme difficulty on that one is actually pretty hard, and it's cool once you unlock all the characters and all the guns to use. Once you play multiplayer mode, like it's one of the best multiplayer modes, so that adds to the nostalgia and love of this film. You know what I mean? People who still have a Nintendo 64 to this day, I even know my age, and they have Goldeneye, they'll still pop in that game. Like, that's how good of a game it is, even though it came out decades and decades ago. And like I said, this film is just such an amazing film to go with it and like to experience it. You know what I mean? There was kind of that first duality of like having a movie and really living out the film in a game for me. That's what I can say for Goldeneye. It's the first time I ever remember back in the day where I was like, damn, the movie and the game go so hand in hand so well. I didn't see Goldeneye right off the bat. I did experience the Sean Connery era and the Roger Moore era and even George Lazenby. I saw all of those films before I saw Pierce Brosnan's. So I was so excited with this first installment to see him come out and see how strong this first film was. Some great action set pieces. Like, the score is really good. Like, I don't really like said the intro song. I don't like that title card sequence and stuff and the song Goldeneye. But the score throughout the film, I think, actually lands and works well. And it even is in the game, too. Like, even when you pause the game, you can hear, like, the music and stuff when you pause the game. So, I mean, yeah, there's just so much to love about Goldeneye. And like I said, for real, if you're a huge Bond fan, this is one, like, if it's not in your top 10, I kind of question what's going on. Like, have you seen this movie? Did you really watch this movie? You know what I mean? Because there's just so much to love. Like, Omnitop is one of the greatest female villains to a Bond film ever. Like, she's so freaking amazing. Like, every scene she has, she just captivates that scene. Boris is great too. That scene with the pen, and he's like turning the pen and clicking it, and Pierce Brosnan's trying to keep track in his mind of how many times Boris is clicking the pen. There's just so many tense moments, so many good scenes that are just handled well, and they carry you through this film. Like I said, this is a pretty long watch, and it just flies by for me. I think this film's like 2 hours and 40 minutes or something like that, but it just flies by for me. You know what I mean? Some people can't stand those 3-hour films, or the ones that are pushing that limit. But when you go to a Bond film, to me, you have to be, at least have to be over 2 hours, because just the kind of content and the stuff that goes on in a Bond film, you really want to be immersed in that world, and it takes time. Like, as you can tell, Goldeneye in my eyes is a very high up there rate. Like I said, this is in my top 5 of James Bond films. Goldeneye is my number 5 in my ranking. It's such a great film. And in terms of the rating, this film, this is a 10 out of 10 for me. Like, I can't really, like I said, the nitpicky things I have with this film are just small things. And it's nothing major, you know what I mean? Like I said, the intro title card sequence and that song, that's nothing. The story, everything else is so engaging. And there's a weird new formula to this film that I actually do quite enjoy and have fun with. It's just all the other stuff that happens after this one. It's just, I watched this one and I'm like, damn, Pierce Brosnan's future could have been so bright. And I know he's the Bond for a lot of people. Some people really do fasten and lean into Pierce Brosnan, and that's their Bond. But yeah, just after this film, it just went downhill. But I'm so glad we're talking about Goldeneye, and this was the one I picked out of the hat, because this is just such a fun one to talk about. But let me know in the comments section what you all think of this film, Goldeneye. I would love to hear from all of you. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you get more videos like this. And pretty soon, you know, Christmas is coming now into that season. So we're going to be diving into a lot of Christmas horror themed videos. So stay tuned to the channel. But most importantly, I want you all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.